The good news, I am told, and I have confidence actually in, a deep state day of reckoning is very close. Everything we told you was right. Everything the mob and the media told you. And Adam Schiff, oh, by the way, Adam Schiff, TikTok, not going to be a good day tomorrow. Just guessing. Earlier today, Acting Director of National Intelligence, Rick Grenell, he called on the congenital, compromised liar Adam Schiff to release secret Russia probe transcripts that the committee had already voted to make public back in 2018. Tomorrow, just hearing, what do I know? I'm just a talk show host. Could be the day that the corrupt, compromised, congenital liar Schiff is completely exposed. Then the question of possible crimes he may have committed, that needs to be probed deeply.
But we do know this. The Russians offered help. The campaign accepted help. The Russians gave help, and the president made full use of that help. And that is pretty damning, whether it is proof beyond a reasonable doubt of conspiracy or not.
So you have seen direct evidence of collusion?
I don't want to go into specifics, but I will say that there is evidence that is not circumstantial and is very much worthy of investigation. So that is what we ought to do.
There is significant evidence, much of it in the public domain, on the issue of collusion. I think there's plenty of evidence of collusion or conspiracy in plain sight.
Whether the Trump campaign colluded with Russia in any aspect of its influence operations.
Now, that is still often described as an open question, right? But it's really not anymore. And Congressman Adam Schiff took the occasion of having that open hearing today, basically to nail that point to the wall. He just off and went there. He laid it all out in his opening statement for the record in an open session. Boom, boom, boom.
There is circumstantial evidence of collusion. There is direct evidence, I think, of deception. And that's where we begin the investigation. Now, I don't want to prejudge where we ultimately end up. And of course, there's one thing to say there's evidence. There's another thing to say we can prove this or prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, or there's enough evidence to bring to a grand jury for purposes of a criminal indictment. But there is certainly enough for us to conduct an investigation. The American people have a right to know, and in order to defend ourselves, we need to know whether the circumstantial evidence of collusion and direct evidence of deception is indicative of more.
You've said on more than one occasion that you've seen ample evidence of the Trump campaign's Russia collusion. Last March, you said you had more than circumstantial evidence of treasonous collusion with Russia. What specifically were you referring to? And please be specific, because if it's true, I do believe Americans have the right to know a year later what that is.
Well, I've certainly said that there's ample evidence of collusion. I've never used the word treason. At the highest levels, ultra sensitive, we have information incriminated about Hillary Clinton as part of the Russian government effort to help Donald Trump. That looks a lot like collusion to me.
And you're a former federal prosecutor.
Yes.
I just think if Mueller doesn't end up charging him, it's a lot of smoke and mirrors.
Yes, rough. We don't
Thank
know.
you.
But we won't know.
So there's clear evidence on the issue of collusion, and this adds to that body of evidence. But whether it amounts to conspiracy beyond a reasonable doubt, I think we still have to wait for Bob Mueller's work.
Do you believe the President of the United States is a Russian asset?
What matters most is the president's actions. Whether he's compromised or not, he is acting like a person who is compromised.
A foreign adversarial power intervened in an effort to weaken our democracy and to influence the outcome for one candidate and against the other. That foreign adversary was, of course, Russia, and it acted through its intelligence agencies and upon the direct instructions of its autocratic ruler, Vladimir Putin, in order to help Donald J. Trump become the 45th President of the United States. None of these facts is seriously in question, and they are reflected in the consensus conclusion of our intelligence agencies. We will never know whether the Russian intervention was determinative in such a close election. Indeed, it is unknowable in a campaign in which so many small changes could have dictated a different result. More importantly, and for the purposes of our investigation, it simply does not matter. What does matter is this. The Russians successfully meddled in our democracy, and our intelligence agencies have concluded they will do so again.
We will be seeking the complete and unredacted report, again, so that we can do our proper oversight.
We want to make sure that the Department of Justice doesn't hide behind the Gang of Eight or anything else to try to prevent the American people from seeing this evidence because it is damning. At the end of the day, when you read this lengthy report, you learn that the president has repeatedly misled the country. He's urged others to mislead the country. He's tried to dangle rewards behind those that toe his line, even if it's at odds with the fact. He's tried to insinuate he would punish those who go against him. There were countless contacts between the Trump people and the Russians that they sought to conceal and lie about. All of this is damning.
The president's acting director of national intelligence says they're ready for public viewing. The Democrat who runs the House Intelligence Committee is refusing, though, to release them right now. That could come later this week.
The Intelligence Committee conducted 53 top-secret interviews, filling 6,000 pages. It's up to House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff to release the mostly unredacted transcripts. And if he doesn't, the intelligence community may do it for him.
Quote, this information was redacted until now for one single reason, to hide the fact that the false allegations from the Steele dossier were included in Mueller's scoping memo. In other words, a bunch of lies paid for by the Democrats used to engineer the appointment of a special counsel to drag the president, the Trump administration, through the mud for years.
This week, we saw cold, hard evidence of the Trump campaign, indeed the Trump family, eagerly intending to collude possibly with Russia, a hostile foreign power, to influence American elections. In the month, again, as we celebrate the courage of our founders, Republicans in Congress have become enablers of the Trump-Russia assault on our democracy.